Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, and thank you for attending this webinar, Managing Security in your digitally connected world, or interconnected digital world. What we're going to talk about today are ways and techniques that you can mitigate the potential danger that comes about when you use your cell phone, your tablet, laptops, any of those devices, which can be actually entry points for unwanted visitors. We're going to look at ways in which you can identify potential access points and ways that you can block unwanted guests. What are some of the security threats? What are the entry points? Well, the entry points could be your desktop, whether it's your home or your office computer, whether it's wired or wireless, your laptop or your notebook. Once again, wired or wireless. In addition, Bluetooth. Many times you go through the airport and you want to print something and you use Bluetooth. Well, if you have Bluetooth turned on, you actually are opening your system to attack from unscrupulous people. Likewise with your tablet. Doesn't matter if it's connected to the network, and when I say the network, I'm referring to the internet, whether it's wired, wireless, or Bluetooth, or your smartphone. And smartphones that are internet enabled or network enabled, they can be entry points to allow cyber criminals to attack. They have vulnerabilities in there, and they can provide entry points. What are some of the threats that are available, that are out there? Well, they can appear in various forms. You got some viruses. Viruses are little pieces of code, and what they do is they embed themselves within your operating system, and they're fairly difficult to get rid of, but they are more easy to identify and stop. What they do is they take over a piece of your operating system, and they may you might have a file called Jane, and the virus will name itself Jane. So the system thinks that it's operating normally, but it's actually operating a set of instructions that are written by Jane. Antivirus programs can generally stop those. Then you have malware. These are basically little instruction packages, and they generally do harm. They can copy your keystrokes, or they can open ports. In other words, open the door for other attacks to come into your system. They can send personal information. They can hijack the functionality of your entire system. So whereby you'll not be able to use your computer. You'll type 1 and 3 will come up, or you'll type 8 and something else will come up. A screen will pop up and you will not be able to close it. The X that you normally use to close a program actually launches another program. Then you got adware. Adware is unwanted code that basically is trying to sell you something. It's trying to sell you a product or service. In most instances, it's not extremely harmful, but it's annoying. Okay, you don't necessarily need to buy another, life insurance policy or a vacation cruise to the Caribbean. Caribbean. Which one is it? Caribbean or Caribbean? Anyway, and so it's an annoyance. Spyware. Now, what spyware is different from adware is that it's trying to gather information. It wants to gather this information about you, and this is typically private information, such as passwords, your username, access codes, and keystrokes, and then want to submit or transmit that information to collectors or hosts that are manned by cyber criminals. Those cyber criminals collect or harvest that data and then in turn sell it to other folks who might do who knows what with it. And then you got one of the really nasty ones. It's called ransomware. And An example of that is CryptoLocker. And what it can do, it encrypts data with basically an unbreakable RSA 2048 private and public key code. What it means is that your data is there, but you can't get to it. And the only way you can get to it is if you pay a ransom. And you have to pay it in something like Bitcoins or Money Pack. And they will give you a decryption code and the private and public key and allow you to return access to your data. Most folks say don't pay the ransom because it just encourages the criminals. But if the data is that important, and if your backup is not available, then that's about the only choice that you have, because you can't break the key. Okay. What are some of the security vulnerabilities? How do you get attacked? Well, the most common is through email. What happens is you have mail address bots that actually collect email addresses. One of the biggest things that comes about is when I see people who send email, and instead of using a BCC, they put all of the addresses in the to box, so it might have 100 addresses. Well, that is going to get hijacked. That address list is going to get hijacked, and it's going to be compiled, and it's going to be sold. And before you know, you'll start receiving mail, and it'll look like it's coming from somebody that you know. In fact, it's not. It's coming from one of these cyber criminals, or just maybe somebody who's just playing a prank. Many of the folks who are doing this thing are 13, 14-year-old folks who find this computer world fascinating, and they understand it, and they take advantage of it. Another way that security threat that can come about is through websites. You visit a website, you see something that looks, gee, that's interesting, or gee, that's too good to be true. If you see something that's too good to be true, it probably is. There's nothing free on the internet. Believe this, it's not free. If something is out there, and especially if it's done up very nice, someone is having to pay for that. So the objective is to get you to look. It's like a lure. When you're fishing, it's like a lure to get you in. And once you get you in, they want to sell you something. That's the whole key. Well, in the case of threats, what they want to do is they want to get you in so that you will click on a link that will expose you to viruses, malware, spyware, ransomware. And again, you have done the proactive thing. You have gone to the website, and in many instances, that bypasses the security that you have on your system, because you have okayed and said, okay, yeah, well, let this one through. Let this through. And when you do that, you bypass the security that you've already installed. You should have a current antivirus program. Most of them are quite fine, whether it be McAfee, Symantec, Trend, Kaspersky, Microsoft's own Security Essentials. They're all fine, as well as AVG and Avira and Avista. They're all pretty good, but you got to have an antivirus program on there. You should have your firewall turned on. If you don't have a firewall that's built into your antivirus, then make sure you have Microsoft's firewall turned on. Now, I'm focusing primarily on Microsoft products on the PC arena, but it also applies to, and when we talk about the cell phone, it also applies to the Android arena, as well as the Apple iOS arena. This is just a little history. I'm not going to go through this long, but this is basically how the modern computer started around 1939. Hewlett-Packard came up with the 2008 audio oscillator. That was the first really kind of true computer. Then we had the ENIAC in 1943. It uses vacuum tubes. And then you go on down. I remember the first portable computer was the Osborne back in 1981. It was called a luggable because it was 24 pounds. It looked like something that I'm going to refer to, a sewing machine, which many of you probably don't even know what that was. Those are boxes, but at any rate. Then we came to the more current things like the compact. Then we have the introduction of Microsoft Windows 95. That was an icon-based operating system, which also corresponded with when the internet started being popular, and more people started logging into the internet. Then we had Facebook, iPhone, iPad, Google Glass. If you want other information, you can click on this link at the bottom, which I'm going to send a copy of this presentation to any who request it, and the links that are in here are active links. Okay. See, these again, this is some more historical information. Types of cell phones. You've got analog cell phones. These were early cell phones. I remember I had a cell phone. It was a big giant block. I mean, it was big. It could be used as a weapon. These were basically analog cell phones. Then you had the GSM cell phones, which is currently still using GSM. It's used primarily by carriers in the United States. Then we have the TDMA. That is it's still used. Then you got the CDMA and IDEN. These are again some additional types of cell phones. And one thing about it is they are not interchangeable. So if you have a cell phone in one system, you can't use it in another system. Okay. Let's see. So, does anybody have any questions at this point? If not, I'm going to continue on. Okay. What are some threats to smartphone security? And basically, I'm going to focus on the mobile access points, and I'm going to look at the tablets and smartphones. Your desktops, and especially in the office environment, are typically part of a domain, or typically have an IT person who is managing those, and it's that person's responsibility to manage the security. I mean, it's your ultimate responsibility because it's your device, but you have another level of support. Where on your smartphone, you're the one. It's your phone. You carry it with you, and you have to realize that particular device, that smartphone, is an entree into your home network as well as your office network. And it, like your desktop, can contract the virus or the malware, and it can contract it the same way as if you would, contract it, from your desktop. It can get a virus by opening an email or going to a website. What can it do? Well, one of the things that we're doing with our laptops is we're doing personal or home banking. Maybe some of you are, maybe you're not, but you have the ability to take a picture of a check and have that deposited into your account. Well, that means that your phone has access to your personal banking information. If you do any kind of investments, it also has access to your investment information. Well, if somebody infects your phone with malware or spyware, they then would have access to that same personal information. So it's very important that you secure that phone, secure that device, so that people who you don't want to have access to your information do not. Another thing that can happen, with your smartphone is you can lose it. It happens quite a bit. You lose the phone and all of your personal information, your health information. If you've read, I belong to Kaiser, and so I have a Kaiser app on there. which allows me to access my personal health information, you know, my appointments and etc. If I lose that phone, well, you know, somebody who picks it up, if I didn't have security on it, would be able to access that information as well as any of my financial information. So another thing is the geographic location and tracking. Most phones have GPS in them right now, the global positioning system. What that does is that identifies where you are. Now, sure, you can always they can always identify you know, where you are by triangulating the cell towers that you happen to be bouncing off of. But with the GPS, they don't have to do that. They can identify where you are down to within a few feet. And why is that important? Well, if you take a picture, you know, you do a little selfie or you take a picture of something, embedded within that picture is the location. Not only the location, but the date and time. So you're giving, and if you post that picture on, let's say, Facebook, now you're giving information as to where you were at what such time and what you were doing. Now, hopefully, it's just taking a picture of a piece of art at the you know, Metropolitan Museum of Art. But if you were doing something else that maybe you shouldn't have been doing, now somebody has you know, like a definitive proof as to what you were doing and where you were doing. And so that should be, you should be aware of you know, what kind of information is contained in seemingly harmless a picture. Okay. Now, how might you get a virus or some other breach? Well, you might download an app. Apps are little small programs that do specific things. When you download an app, there's always an agreement, and in the very tiny print of that agreement, you are giving access to that app and to the authors of that app. You're giving them access to things such as your location, your contact list, your social media accounts, email, text, video messages, your calendar. You can give them access. You can give them open access to everything. And you really have to read carefully what's in that the tiny print and the permission agreement. In most instances, you can opt out of a number of you know, permissions. You say, no, I don't want to give you permission to access my location or my contact list. Some apps, if you do opt out of those things, will not load. I mean, that's how they basically make their money. As I said, nothing is free on the internet. If somebody's doing something, they're doing it for a reason. There's some kind of, they figure out some kind of way to monetize this process. And one of the ways to monetize this process is through eyeballs. Okay. In other words, if they can show that a certain number of people are looking at this particular cell phone desktop, you know, if they can show that, they can sell that. That is valuable thing, because what the world today is now is trying to get eyeballs, get people to look at what they have to offer. Just as an aside, there are over 4 billion websites that are in existence today, and they are coming on at a rate of 100,000 per day. So the task of getting somebody to look at what you have to offer and look and listen to what you have to say, it's a huge task. And if somebody can provide you with 5,000 eyeballs or 10,000 eyeballs, that's a valuable asset. And so many of these applications, they collect this information and then in turn package it and sell it. You can opt out of it in a lot of instances, and in most instances you probably should. Another way that you can get infected is through the internet. You may you know, log on to something like Hulu Plus so you can watch movies, or Netflix, or but there are many other things that you might go on to. Maybe you want to watch a TV show or your comic books or something like that. In most instances, it's okay, but the thing is that throughout the site, you're going to find little links or little icons, and they look interesting, and you say, ah, that's it, man, let me see what that is. you got to be careful, because that may be an entree or an invitation for somebody to come in and say, oh, there's somebody here. Let me go out there and see if we can't gather their information and then in turn bundle it and sell it. The second one, the PC hookups. If your child goes to school and a classmate has lice, it's likely that your child will come home with a hair full of unwanted bugs. Well, the same is true with your smartphone. You might connect your smartphone to your computer via USB to charge it. Well, the thing is that a USB is basically an open connection, and if your computer has a bug, spyware, adware, malware, and your phone isn't protected, it can get that malware as well. So that's something to be aware of. You need to make sure that the device to which you connect your phone is in fact also protected and clean. Message attachments. A typical phone gets all kinds of messages, whether it be text messages, tweets, Instagram messages, all kinds of messages. Most often, these are just harmless, communications. However, it could contain something that's more nefarious and more dangerous, and it could seem like it's coming from somebody that you know, and as a result, you'll probably open it. And when you open it, you have unleashed a package that could potentially damage your phone or hijack your information, and then in turn start sending information out to your friends and your contacts with more, harmful, content. The Bluetooth connection. In 2005, MIT published a technology review saying that Bluetooth-enabled phones would be a superhighway for airborne viruses. Well, not quite a superhighway, but the fact is that Bluetooth phones can infect one another simply by being around one another. And one of the things you could do is you can turn off the Bluetooth awareness. In other words, don't make your phone visible to other Bluetooth devices, so that if somebody has their Bluetooth, they won't discover your phone, because it happens automatically. And generally what has to happen is it has to pair, but the thing is that your pairing code for most instances is 0000. It's a very standard pairing code. So somebody who has, ill will in mind, they already know how to pair. And if they happen to be near you, and you don't have the Bluetooth awareness turned off, somebody can actually pair with your phone. It's another concern. Okay, I'm going fast, but if there's any question, please, let me know. You can okay. So, no questions? What happens if you lose your cell phone, if you accidentally lose your cell phone? Well, one of the things you want to do is, the first thing you want to try to do is get your phone back. And if you can't get it back, at the very least you want to erase any of your pertinent data and make your phone just a piece of metal and plastic. Probably more plastic than metal. There are devices, there are apps that will allow you to locate your phone. Now, these apps are operating system specific. In other words, there's a Lost Droid Finder for, it's under Google Play. There's Apple Find My Phone, which is for the Apple iOS, the iPhone. There's Android, which again looks for and can wipe out any data that's on a lost Android phone that you can't retrieve. Likewise, a BlackBerry Protect. It can wipe out a lost BlackBerry phone. Okay. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, there are really basically three major phone operating systems. They've got Android, Apple OS, and Microsoft. BlackBerry used to be a major player. They unfortunately are no longer, even though they have a great product. I like it. I used BlackBerry for years. I just recently switched to Android, to a Samsung Galaxy. At any rate, some of the Android apps that are that provide protection are listed here. As I said, these are active links, and when I send you the copy of the presentation, you'll be able to click on the link and download any of these that you wish. Oh, by the way, these are all virus-free. Okay, geographic location and tracking. The main thing is that the geographic location and tracking allows you to, or allows your phone to get and personalize your experience. In other words, if you want to find out about availability of movies, there's no need to find out about movies in Dayton, Ohio if you happen to be in San Antonio, Texas. What the GPS system does is it looks and sees where you are, and then it identifies resources that you're looking for that are in your general location. Whether it be find out the weather, find out available movies, restaurants, get a map so that you can find out where you are, how to get to various places. Now your phone's camera also uses GPS to automatically embed information, and so far as where you are and what time you are when you happen to take a photo. It's called geotagging. Facebook, Twitter uses GPS to update status messages, so that when you give your status, you can know where it is. You can actually pull that information up, and you don't have to be a geek to do it. Anybody can pull up the information to see where that picture was taken and when it was taken. Okay. You want to make sure that you really want that to happen. You can turn that off in your phone, and for most instances, you probably want to turn it off because there's no need to put information about yourself and allow people to develop a pattern on you. And I know that sounds, really like conspiracy theory kind of stuff, but the fact is that there are some not nice people out here, and no need to give them more information about yourself than you need to. So I would turn the geotagging off in most instances. Before you tag somebody else, you should get permission. In other words, if you take a picture and you're getting ready to post it, you can tag each of the people in that picture. At which point, now it becomes information out in the cyber world that Harold was over here at such and such a time, and China was over here at such and such a time, and that information becomes public information. That maybe people don't want to have that information made that public. Okay. I need to mute some sound. Okay. Has the picture gone away? Let me see this. Apparently, Do you see the presentation? Do you see like personal privacy protection now? Do you see the mouse moving? Okay, so let's see why that is not coming up. Okay, I'm trying to get the presentation back up on the screen. Just bear with me for just a moment. Okay, now you should see. Okay, you should see the. So you have not been seeing this presentation all along? That's what I'm hearing? God, I'm going to turn this thing off. Okay. I'm going to go back. Okay, have you seen these screens? Okay. Once again, if you give me your email address, I will send you the whole presentation. There are actually 21 slides. So anyway, we'll just continue on. As I already spoke about message attachments, they are a particular breach point. In the event that you lose your phone or it's stolen, you want to try to get your data back, and if not, you want to wipe out the information. These are some tools that you can use to do that. These are basically tools that allow you to provide some security, like an antivirus security on your cell phone, and they are operating system based, so that the security that works on an Apple OS is not what you'd use for an Android. Likewise, what's on a Microsoft is not what you'd use on an Apple OS. I talked about the geographic location and tracking. You know, many services use that to provide you with data that is relevant to you from a location perspective. They also use your profile to provide you with information that is relevant to you from a personal perspective. So one of the things that you can do to cut down the number of targeted emails and targeted texts and targeted promotional pop-ups is to limit the amount of information that appears on your profile. You can have it in there, but maybe you don't want to make it public. One of the things we talked about was geotagging. You want to basically turn that off, because other than that, every time you take a picture and post that picture, information about where you were and what time you were is publicized in that picture. Personal privacy protection. If you use your phone or your tablet to access your company's information, basically what happens is you have to get permission to go through their firewall or their protection. Well, part of that process, in part of that process, you can surrender your right to privacy of the stuff that's on your phone. So if you need to access your company data, you may want to think twice about doing it with your personal phone, because administrators or users of that company network could actually have access to your personal data. Now, this is especially important in the medical field, where you have HIPAA requirements that make it, they're trying to safeguard patient information. They don't want somebody to come in with a cell phone and be able to have access to patients' information. So as such, in most medical offices, what you have is a guest account, and then you have the office account. Guests to the office log into the guest account, which is shielded from the patient information, which is in the office account. Okay, and that's how it should be set up. Now, okay, any questions about that? All right. One of the things that you don't want is you don't want folks to get into your cell phone. And as I mentioned, there are many ways that they could do that. Some ways that you are inviting them in, such as opening an email or visiting a website. Others by surrendering protection to gain access to various sites or resources. There are things that you can load onto your phone, such as Kaspersky's Safe Browser or Vera Mobile Security or Hotspot Shield VPN, which will allow you to have another level of security to protect your information and your data. And this is an app. These are apps that you could load on your phone. If, for example, you're at Starbucks and you're using your tablet or your phone to access the internet, well, basically you are giving others who are in that same area limited, albeit limited, access to the information on your phone. And you can and you should shield that. One of the things you want to turn off geo-tracking. Another thing you want to turn off Bluetooth discovery, so that your device can't be discovered by others who then could pair with it without your knowledge or permission. These tools, these apps, allow you to, again, shield your personal information, shield your device from prying eyes of others. Now, in addition to, you know, external threat protection, you want to make sure that you kind of want to keep the information that's on your phone protected. And some of the ways that you could do that is by encrypting your information, and like Hotspot VPN or PicLock 3. You may have taken some pictures that are, well, let's just say they are private pictures, and you don't want them. You don't want everybody to see them. You know, this application keeps those things, you know, secure and private and hidden. So if you happen to be, you know, using your phone and showing, or your tablet and showing, you know, the family pictures, and other pictures will accidentally pop up, embarrassing pictures, so to speak. Wicker, basically it allows you to send a self-destruction text message. So you can send a message and it'll go away. I mean, how many people have been, you know, haunted by a message they sent that never goes away, and it gets forwarded to someone else? This gives a way in which you could send a text message and it goes away. It destroys itself, so there's no evidence that it was ever sent. Cryptos allows you to speak on a phone with nobody else being able to hear you. They can't overhear. They can't eavesdrop on your conversation. In the old days, we had party lines where, you know, everybody shared a line. Well, the cell phones are somewhat different. They are a little bit more secure, but folks with the right equipment and the right software can actually listen in on your conversation. Applications like Cryptos secures those voice conversations, so the only person who can listen into it is the person at the other end of the phone. These are some security tips that are helpful. If you're downloading apps, make sure that you only download apps from the major app stores. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of apps that are available. I mean, and they're developing them every day, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a day. The thing is that most of those are not vetted. And so if you download an application from something other than one of the major sites, you don't really know what you're getting. You don't know what vulnerabilities you're opening up. You don't know what information you are inadvertently sharing. So you want to try to just deal with the major sites, like Windows Store, Apple's app, or Google Play. Keep your phone up to date. Updates that come for the phone, when it asks you, would you like to install an update, you should say yes. Not only for the phone, but also for the apps that you have on there. And if you have apps on the phone that you're not using, get rid of them. Okay, because you never know. That app could turn out to be a vulnerability. Could be an entry point for, you know, again, unwanted access. Don't jailbreak your phone. Most phones will only run, you know, an Apple phone will only run an Apple software. You know, and likewise a Sprint phone won't run on T-Mobile or AT&T. When you jailbreak or unlock your phone, it enables it to run untrusted software. And if it's untrusted, there's a much greater likelihood that it could have something that's potentially harmful. Accept incoming content cautiously. Just because somebody sends you something doesn't mean that it has to be open. Everything that's you know like, oh yeah, you just won American Clearinghouse thing, or you just received a cashier's check for $100,000. All you have to do is just click on this link, or you know, we want to we have a collection fund going for Haitian refugees. Just click here and you can donate. Do not ever put your user information or password. When you get something, it should be addressed to you specifically, not to AT&T user or Yahoo user. It should have your name, first and last name, in there. Turn off, you know, if you're using Bluetooth technology, which allow wireless devices to talk to each other, turn it off when you're not using it. Okay, because once again, the pairing codes generally are 0000, which is in fact no code, which means that anybody can pair with somebody else without your knowledge or permission, and really access, listen to what you're saying, access your information. So you want to turn that off. And that concludes our presentation. I want to thank you for attending. If there are any questions, please ask now, or you can contact me later. Please let me have your email address, and I will send you a copy of this presentation. As I said, the links in there are all active links. All you have to do is click on them, and they're all viable links. They don't have any viruses or malware or adware. And hopefully I will see you at future events that we host. Thank you again for attending. You have a great day.